Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. And today I'm here to talk to you about the Kindle Paperwhite. I've had this Kindle Paperwhite for, I feel like I got it at the beginning of the year. I feel like I've had it for like several months now. And I'm going to give you guys my full and proper review for it. And I'm also going to tell you why I'm selling it. So stick around and let's get straight into things. So if you are here for the tech specs and the nerd shit, I don't have that for you. What I can tell you is how this device is to use as a binge reader. So when I tend to read and I sit down with a Kindle, most of the time I'm sitting down for like hours, like an hour, 2 hours. And whilst I do genuinely like reading on this device, there are a few aspects which I think make it the weaker choice in the Kindle lineup for me, and also there is a bit of an elephant in the room, which is that I've purchased an e-reader from another brand in the same sort of size, space sort of thing, and I much prefer that. So what we're going to do is talk through the things that I like about this, talk through things that I don't like, then we're going to talk about the alternatives and my recommendations for purchasing. So, things that I like. This is a really nice screen. So it's really sharp. It's really bright. It's, let me just quickly flip it on here. So it's really sharp. It's really bright. And this is not on the adaptive backlight. I don't tend to use that. I prefer to have it just on this big, very bright setting. It wouldn't normally be this bright in this sort of light. It would be a lot less bright. I really like the fonts that are available, like for example Open Dyslexic. So I'm not dyslexic, but I had the recommendation recently to try using the Open Dyslexic font. I've absolutely loved it. It means that I can read for a lot longer. My eyes would sometimes get tired when I was reading the normal Kindle font before I was ready to finish reading. So a lot of the time my eyes would get a little bit tired before my body wanted to go to bed, and so I would have to put the Kindle down, but I wouldn't be ready to go to bed, so I'd have hours to kill, an hour or so, and I would end up playing a game or watching YouTube on my phone or whatever. And while none of that is horrible, bad, shouldn't do it sort of thing, I would prefer to spend that time reading, because reading is my favourite hobby. It's the number one thing that I enjoy doing the most. So when it comes to for entertainment stuff, reading is my number one hobby. So if I have the option and the time to read, then I will always choose to do so. So yeah, the Open Dyslexic font is a huge game changer, and if you don't use it, you should use it. I do commit the cardinal sin with this Kindle, which is I have the clock displayed. So this is something that you can turn on your Kindle, so you'll see it at the top. I have the time displayed, and what this does is just help me organise my time. A lot of the time I tend to read in the evenings. I want to make sure I'm going to bed at the normal reasonable time. I might read while my son is trying to get himself to sleep. So oftentimes what I'll do with my son is I will read him a story from his books, and then he will get in bed and I'll sit in the armchair in his room and read a chapter or two. And I do genuinely really enjoy doing that, and I think that it works really well. And I turn the backlight right down for that, obviously, because I don't want to keep him awake. Yeah, the screen is lovely. The usability of the device is great. It's really snappy. I mean, if I show you here, let's go around a few menus. Look how snappy and quick that is. I have paid to remove the ads on this device. Well, I haven't paid to remove the ads on this device. I paid to remove the ads on a Kindle about a decade ago, and now every time I buy a new one, I ask Amazon customer service if they can remove the ads, and they always do. So I paid to remove the ads for this many years ago, and I've got a ton of books on here now. I've literally got hundreds of books probably. So tons and tons of books, loads of stuff here, and things like Wheel of Time are massive books, and I have 13 of them. So I've literally never deleted a book off here, never worried about deleting a book. So even though this is the smallest size, 8 gigabytes, you really don't need any more than that. The only way that I would say you might need more is if you're a big audiobook listener with your Kindle, if you like to do the immersive reading thing that they talk about, where like you can read along as the audiobook goes. I've never actually tried that. It's available on a lot of Kindle devices, so I could try it, but honestly I usually prefer to sight read when I can. I use the audiobooks when I can. So the time doesn't really cross over for me very much. But you can see here the quality of the screen. If you look at these little covers, they look fantastic. And like there's so much detail. You can even read the text on these tiny little covers down the bottom. The store page sometimes does this thing where it's like, oh, refreshing the store, but it only takes a few seconds and then you're straight into the I moved the camera Kindle in the wrong way. Straight into the purchase sequence. Yeah. Ooh, I didn't know that was on. Didn't know this book was on Kindle Unlimited. Maybe I'll read that. So yeah, it's incredibly user friendly. The one thing that I don't like is how much of the home screen is taken up by Amazon trying to sell you new books rather than trying to surface books from your collection that you haven't read. One of the things that I would really like is like the top line in my ideal scenario, right, is books that you are currently reading or have recently read. The next one down is random selection of books from your library that you may have forgotten you've purchased, because I don't know about you guys, I have about 300 Kindle books in my library and I've probably only read 150, so it would be really nice to surface those books again. And then like the bottom row could be like recommendations based on your purchases. I would be super down with that. If Amazon wants to change their UI to that, it'd be great. But what it is now is, so we've got the top row is my library, then we've got Kindle Unlimited, and then we've got more things to purchase. So it's mostly about purchasing on this. I'd say about half purchasing, half not, I guess. But there's much more books to purchase on screen than there are books in my library, which isn't ideal. I really like how easy it is to sideload books onto this. So I have bought a few books from Kobo, and then downloaded them, removed the DRM, and then sent them to Kindle, because I don't own a Kobo, but those books were in a cheap bundle on Kobo. So like I got all the Discworld books from Humble Bundle for like £13, and there's no way I'd be able to get them anywhere near that cheap on Amazon or any other ebook service. So getting those, sending those across only took me like, I don't know, 20 minutes. It was really quick. And that was with me wanting to go through and make sure they all had the correct covers, which if you were not precious about that and you were happy with the covers that you got from Kobo, then you could have just done it in 5 minutes or whatever. The other thing that I would say with sideloading stuff is if you get review copies from NetGalley, you can just click send to Kindle and it sends it via a special email address that's set up just for your Kindle, and the books just get added to your library. Fantastic, really, really user friendly, really easy to do, and it's made reviewing books from NetGalley really easy, which I really enjoy. Cons for this device. So the massive con for me, the number one con, is that this device feels cheap, but it isn't. So this device costs a couple of £100 new, I think, but the plastic on the back is really cheap feeling. You can hear it. It is an absolute fingerprint magnet. Let's see if I can get it in the light. Yeah, look. I mean, I cleaned this before I started this review, and the screen is in many ways worse. I don't know if you can see it because, yeah, I mean, yeah, there you go. You can see it is literally covered. It's really greasy. No matter how often I clean it, it feels greasy. If you use this with a case on and you washed your hands every time you picked it up, you could probably keep it in a pretty good condition. I hate using devices with cases. The only reader that I have that has a case on it is the Kindle Scribe, and that case is a stand. So I use that case to primarily stand it up when I read, so that I can read while stood up, also while like rocking a baby to sleep, essentially. So it feels really cheap, and it isn't cheap. This is genuinely quite an expensive device. I bought mine second hand, and even then it was quite expensive. It was probably what I would have paid for a Kindle 5 years ago. And having used the Kindle Oasis and the Kindle Voyage, those were both incredibly premium feeling devices, and this just is not. It feels cheap. The front glass screen is nice, but the fact that it's all one slab means it's actually quite easy to accidentally turn pages. I've done it like every time I read with this Paperwhite, I will do an accidental page turn. On the Kindle Scribe, because the bezels are much bigger, and on the thingamajig, the Kindle Basic, which I've also used. My wife has a Kindle Basic, which I gave to her. So I have used it in comparison videos before. If you want to see that comparison, you can watch my Kindle Buyer's Guide video from September. But the Kindle Paperwhite, the accidental touches are so easy, and it's really annoying. I don't like that the on button is on the bottom. I love that it's USB-C. That is actually a big pro. I forgot to mention that. That is a massive pro. You don't need to get the Signature Edition, by the way. All that Signature Edition adds that's worthwhile is wireless charging, and I think you shouldn't wireless charge your devices because it does reduce the battery life quicker over time than regular cable charging, because wireless charging produces more heat. Heat is a chemical reaction in the battery degrades. So I had an iPhone that I exclusively wireless charged, and I wireless charged it for a year on Apple's official wireless charger, and after a year it only had 90% battery capacity left, whereas my iPhone that I replaced it with had 98 battery capacity after 18 months, and that was exclusively charged with the cable, never wireless. So throw away your wireless chargers because they are shit. The other thing I don't like about this one is the, like I said, the UI, always trying to sell stuff to you, isn't great. It is very snappy though, so I'm torn because it used to be quite slow and sluggish on Kindles, and now it is really nice and responsive. And yeah, I mean, this has now got even more fingerprints on it. The fingerprintiness of this device is a real problem, and it makes it feel cheaper. It makes it feel a bit grim and dirty. I frequently, when I go to read with this, will wash my hands, clean the device, wash my hands, and then go and sit down and read on it, because then it's comfortable for a long reading session. The size and weight of the device is fantastic for reading. I do think that this size of screen is the best kind of portable e-reader. I do like the Kindle Scribe's massive size for when I want to sit down, and it's kind of like hardback versus paperback. So this is like your perfect bent spine paperback, whereas the Kindle Scribe is more like a hardback reading experience. But here's the elephant in the room. So I'm going to sell this device. I'm not going to sell it because it's bad. I'm going to sell it because there is a better device and it's already in my collection, and I basically never reach for this when I can reach for my other device. And that other device is the Books Go Color 7. So massive wins in the column of the Go Color 7. Page turn buttons. So the screen never really gets greasy because I never touch it. The back is this lovely textured material which does not take fingerprints. Brilliant. This is also USB-C, but it charges on the side, so that's more convenient. The power button is on one edge, but you can just read it the other way up. It is also colour, massive win for me, and it takes a bit longer to turn on and that sort of thing. But look at that, look at the difference there. So the colour is actually a lot less vibrant on the video, unfortunately, than it is in real life. So you will have to believe me, but the colours are genuinely lovely, and I love reading with this. So that's why I'm selling the Paperwhite, and I'm actually selling it tomorrow, which is why I'm making this video probably over a month before you guys are going to see it. But the Books Go Color 7 is just better than the Paperwhite in essentially every way, except one, which is that the Paperwhite turns on instantly. The Books Go Color 7 takes a few seconds to turn on when it's been asleep, and when it's been turned off, it takes about 30 seconds. I have it set so that it doesn't turn off. It turns off if it's not been used for 8 hours, That's just to preserve the battery. Because this is an Android device rather than a Kindle e-reader like this one, which has got a simple OS, this has got a proper full Android. And because it's full Android, it uses a lot more battery. However, I think I've only charged this 3 times and I've had it since like June. So the battery does last a really long time. I've read multiple full books on this and have had no issues in terms of battery life and stuff. So my recommendation is, if you would like a premium e-reading device, the books Go Color 7 is probably my recommendation. If you are able to get one of these second hand, they are still good devices. I do prefer the other 2 Kindles, so the Kindle Basic and the Kindle Scribe, over the Paperwhite. I do think they're better devices. The Kindle Basic is dirt cheap. It does feel a bit plasticky, but I think that the raised edges for the bezels, meaning no accidental touches, the fact that the screen is the same PPI but it's smaller, means that the texture is actually even a little bit clearer. And I think that the matte texture of that screen, rather than the kind of semi-shiny, which makes this easy to get greasy, is a nicer, and this like soft touch back. The Kindle Basic has like a quite hard plastic. So overall, the construction of the Kindle Basic I do prefer, although the screen size on this is much nicer. So I do like the screen size on this. So yeah, if you want to know my full thoughts on the Paperwhite, this has been it. If you want to know my full thoughts on the rest of the Kindle range, please go and watch my Kindle guide review video. I will link that in the comments down below, or the video description, or one of those things. And hopefully that will help you guys if you are looking to buy some Kindle devices. And this is a 2021 Kindle, so it's likely going to be replaced pretty soon with a new model. But my recommendation is check that new model out, see if it is actually an upgrade. A lot of the time with Kindles, they bring out a new model and it's actually not really much of an upgrade, and you can get the previous gen model dirt cheap, and the difference in them is actually quite minimal. I would have got an older version of the Paperwhite to try using Paperwhite out if it was not for the USB-C port. Everything I own charges with the USB-C, and I just did not want to try and have to find one specific cable every time I want to charge my Kindle. It's very annoying. Had the same problem with my running watch. Every time I have to charge it, I get really annoyed. So if you're out for a Kindle, this is a good purchase, but I do think that there are multiple better options, if I'm honest. Have you got a Kindle Paperwhite? What do you think about it? Drop down in the comments and let me know what e-reader you're using, and if this video has been helpful, please do let me know. I'm always trying to improve my tech reviews because I'm a huge tech review watcher. I'm just not very good at making them. So if you've got anything that you think that I've missed out on, or anything that I should have talked about but didn't, drop it down in the comments below. If you have liked this video, I'd love it if you gave it a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, because every little subscription helps, and we're trying to grow this community. And I put 5 videos up a week every day at 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m, talking about science fiction and fantasy books. So if you're interested in those, please do subscribe and come back to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'll speak to you tomorrow.